Hi and welcome. My name is Amanda and I share how I live and navigate the everyday human experience through a spiritual lens. My hope is that this online Willow Collective community is a place where you can find rich resources to support your own spiritual walk, which is what it's all about. I have an Amanda at Willow Collective YouTube channel, Instagram, and Facebook page that you can follow to get access to all of these free resources and daily inspirations. But back to today's topic, which is all about the new moon on November 19th, which is going to be in the sign of Scorpio. And as always, we'll look at the energies around for us to work with over the 2 weeks starting with that new moon. And just as a reminder, the new moon is essentially an astrological new page for us to work with as we continue to evolve on our journey of becoming our most authentic selves, which is what the content on this page and life is all about. Scorpio is an intense, passionate, mysterious, magnetic, and determined water signs. Water signs in general are very intuitive, sensitive, and empathetic. So they're very fluid. But Scorpio is going to bring a lot of heaviness to that fluidity, and you might start to feel that. We'll talk a little bit more about practical ways that we can navigate the world right now later in this video. But first, if you've watched my videos before, each zodiac sign has a higher and lower expression that we are going to talk about. Some of Scorpio's higher expressions that I want to highlight are that of emotional mastery, which has to do with feeling deeply and fully, but not drowning or getting overwhelmed in our feelings. Also, transformation power, which is about embracing the deaths that need to happen in our lives. So the things that we've been shedding all season long, there might be more, and welcoming the rebirths so that we can up level to the next expression of ourselves. Scorpio is about passion and purpose, which ties in with that transformation piece we just talked about, in that when the moon shines on this sign, we might be able to see more clearly where our passions are, where we find meaningful work, what kind of love we want in our lives, and creative inspiration. And lastly, alchemy. This is a big one. We're going to talk a little bit more about this. Alchemy is about turning pain into wisdom, wounds into medicine, and transmuting darkness into light. Conversely, Scorpio's lower expressions that we want to look out for is that of emotional volatility, where we get all swept up in our emotions rather than using them as a guide. Be particularly mindful of this during the crazy holiday season. Another one of Scorpio's lower expressions is that of control and manipulation. And again, there are a lot of spiritual threats just trying to disempower us at this moment, but we do have everything inside of us to stay within our power. A third of Scorpio's lower expressions I want to call out is fear of change. As we move towards the winter months, the stirrings of change is starting to happen under the soil. Think about in the winter time, in the fall time, we plant the bulbs so that during the winter time they cultivate under the soil and then they blossom in the spring. When we observe what is happening in the world right now, and at face value, it seems absolutely terrifying. But astrologically, old world systems are breaking down, and the systems, the behaviors, the beliefs that are robbing us of our connection with ourselves and with each other are breaking down. And that's a good thing. I do want to get a little real for a minute here, so feel free to fast forward if you need to. But we're not going to do the spiritual bypassing thing here, where we ignore the real human impact of negative forces on people's lives and, frankly, our planet. I know it feels heavy and hopeless with the power struggles happening in our U.S. government right now. It's impacting real lives, and Scorpio is going to intensify that intensity. Living a spiritual life does not entail ignoring the 3D world and the human experience and living with our heads in the clouds or only in the upper chakras space. I know the impact is real to everyday life. I'm not going to lie, my own mental health is hanging on by a thread, but we can stay in our power by choosing to pull together in our communities, turn that anxiety into action. I've linked a really great article that I found on nonviolent ways to protest below for you if that's something that resonates with you, if that's something that you want to take a look at to see how you can take your power back and step into empowered action. I was actually reminded the other day that attending a cultural celebration is also protest. Standing in our power is also protest. And there are many, many ways we can do that. There's always something that we can do to take our power back. To give you an example of how we can use our own power to manage our emotions, I've personally been feeling a lot of anxiety over the state in the world, and particularly the struggle that many of our fellow humans are facing right now here in the US around food insecurity because of those negative forces in our government. So, as a way to master my emotions and to alchemize this energy, so alchemize just means we're flipping the energy from one thing to another, in this case, negative to positive. That energy that's intended to harm, and I'm flipping that into positive energy that's helpful by volunteering at a local food bank to give what I can and to act in opposition of those negative forces in my everyday life. Grand gestures are wonderful and we need them, but it's in the everyday consistent changes and taking our power back that really where the impact really lies. Coming back to another way that we can take our power back, the power of meditation and mindfulness practices are ways we can regain our sovereignty, so ownership of our own lives, by rooting in the knowledge that we are fully equipped with all that we need to live through this soul's journey. No one can take power away or mental and spiritual strength away unless we let them. Embrace the intensity in the air right now. That is the emotional natures and the intense passion of the human experience that serves its own purpose. Allow yours to come out into the forefront and serve you and your emotional state. Be willing to tap into your own passion and give it expression in a way that feels safe and nurturing to your soul. I'll also link my gratitude practice video below, which is also a really helpful practice this time of year that cultivates a lot of joy and has a lot of benefits in terms of helping us take our power back and stay strong in this intensity. Please take care of yourself. Know that you are not alone in your spiritual walk, and I'll be back in a couple of weeks with more on the next full moon in December. In the meantime, feel free to follow along on Instagram or Facebook for daily inspirations. Give us a like or a thumbs up if you found this to be helpful. Take care.